In a dilapidated house, two individuals in uniforms are engaged in dispatching zombies. The woman sighs. It's their third day on the job, and there's no end in sight. They were the four Eugenes who had broken the penal code of the Commonwealth. Though Lance has spared them from exile, they are required to assist the community in zombie clearance as compensation. However, Ezekiel, already battling cancer, often struggles to breathe in this environment. Princess, stepping out, observes Ezekiel's condition with concern. As Eugene's group finishes clearing a nearby house, Princess, well aware of Ezekiel's precarious state, urges Stephanie to take Ezekiel to see a doctor. Stephanie, unable to decide on her own, agrees to inquire with the steward. Lance, Ezekiel is hesitant, fearing the financial burden of medical care on his companions. Princess reassures him, emphasizing that friends help each other. Ezekiel is touched, but then they noticed Michael passing by with a man and a woman. The man derogatorily comments on the stench, arrogantly urging Michael to move faster.
Who the hell was that?
Meanwhile, Yumiko arrives at the National Affairs Office according to the invitation, eager to see Pamela for both work and to plead for her friends. She is met by a man who claims Pamela is too busy to meet her, but Yumiko was greeted by a man who said Pamela was too busy to see her now. Disappointed, Yumiko seeks out her brother to understand the local legal system. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted as soldiers, in front of everyone, seize Tommy without explanation. Infuriated, Yumiko inquires and learns that Lance is in the vicinity. Lance calmly assures her that her brother will be home tonight. Asking for patience, Yumiko doesn't understand why. Lance goes on to say that you need help to get your friends who are in trouble with the law free. Right? That's no small thing, but I'll help you. Don't ask so many questions and your brother will come home safely at night. Yumiko wasn't stupid. This man had been helping them from the beginning. She wouldn't believe him if he didn't have an agenda. Lance said bluntly to allay her fears. With Pamela's regard for you, you're sure to be at the top of the Commonwealth in the future. That's why I'll need your help one day in the future. This reason seemed so reasonable that Yumiko couldn't find any reason to doubt for a while. She could only choose to wait for now. After a while, Eugene and the group are still clearing zombie bodies, visibly exhausted. Ezekiel returns, seemingly in good condition, bringing lollipops for everyone. After sharing the sweets, he turned to Lance and thanked him for taking care of him. The hospital had not only given him antibiotics but also fluids. Lance replied briefly and then started assigning tasks. Stephanie is tasked with leading Eugene northward to continue clearing zombies, while Ezekiel and Princess accompany Lance to the next location. Thus, the four of them embark on another challenging round of work. Stephanie, familiar with the area, guides Eugene northward. Along the way, Eugene notices a gazebo where two people are kissing, oblivious to the approaching zombies. He quickly draws his short knife and rushes to their aid. Fortunately, zombies move slowly, allowing them to eliminate the threat. The kissing couple happens to be the two individuals who were following Michael earlier. Showing no intention of helping, Eugene finally got rid of the zombies with a lot of effort. But to his surprise, the man came up to him and said,
"What the hell was that about? You just disrupted our date."
Stephanie saw that they were going to fight and pulled Eugene out of there. However, Eugene is visibly displeased with the man. Meanwhile, Stephanie notices more zombies approaching but struggles to get Eugene's attention due to their argument. Seeing the zombies getting closer and closer, she couldn't care less and rushed forward with her spear. The woman screams as blood splatters over her. Unable to tolerate it, Eugene insists that the man can criticize him but not insult Stephanie. Stephanie, frightened and seemingly aware of the man's identity, apologizes repeatedly. Lance and Michael, hearing the commotion, rush to the scene. "Look what these two maniacs did to my girlfriend," said the cocky guy with a look of indignation. "Especially you, Michael. It's all your fault. Where were you when you weren't keeping me safe? Some zombies just came and then this lowly civilian attacked me." Eugene tries to explain, but the man appears to be making baseless accusations.
Don't you know who that is?
In the end, Eugene is detained. What was initially perceived as the Commonwealth being a highly rule-oriented place now seems, in reality, to operate like the pre-apocalyptic world rules, forever favoring those with background power. At this moment, the door opens, and Lance walks in. He looks at Eugene and says, "That man is Governor Pamela's son, Sebastian. You could have been a hero for saving him, but you messed it up for yourself. You were being punished and now it's going to cost you even more to get out. If you can truthfully reveal where you're from and your specific route, I can try to get you off the hook." Eugene shook his head. There was no way he was going to rat out Alexandria's safe zone, so he politely declined. Lance sighs with regret, saying, That's a shame. This is your home now, and your companions will have to fend for themselves. I won't help you anymore." With that, he gets up and leaves.
Wait.
Eventually, Eugene decides to disclose the address. Though unsure of Lance's intentions, he believes there won't be malicious intent towards his home. 2 days later, Lance arrives at Alexandria's safe zone with a small team, Daryl and others, mistaking them for enemies, ready their weapons. Lance, however, bears no ill will. His carriage carries supplies like food and gasoline, appearing genuinely helpful. Eugene gathers everyone and shares recent experiences, stating that the Commonwealth wishes to engage in diplomatic relations with Alexandria's safe zone. Lance, introducing himself, extends polite words, expressing concern about Alexandria's safe zone's challenging situation. He proposes that the Commonwealth can provide nuclear materials to aid in the reconstruction. Of course, they could have joined the Commonwealth like Eugene and had a better life. Residents, though intrigued, remain skeptical. After thinking it over, and with Eugene as a guarantor, they all made up their minds. Most of them chose to come to the Commonwealth because no one wanted to live a precarious life outside. And as time went by, 30 days went by and they all got used to the life here and had their own jobs. Carol manages Tommy's cake shop. Jerry and his family find joy and stability. Ezekiel tends to the animals. Daryl cares for Judith and RJ in Michonne's absence. Connie and Kelly become journalists. Princess embraces a new wardrobe. And Rosita and Daryl join the military. Still in basic training, on Halloween, Pamela appears in the square, celebrating with the citizens. However, life in the Commonwealth, on the surface, appears harmonious. Maggie doesn't join them, returning to the hilltop with a few people as she distrusts strangers and questions the true nature of the Commonwealth's seemingly idyllic existence. Today, Commander Michael continued their training, but many spectators were disdainful. Daryl and the others had already surpassed everyone present in combat skills and tactics. But that's a side note. Afterwards, Michael began assigning tasks. He instructed team members to pair up and enter the deepest part of the adjacent house to kill zombies marked with red symbols. The fastest team would win. The challenge this time was that each pair could only carry a single short knife, requiring mutual cooperation for maximum effectiveness. Michael then proceeded to form the groups. Rosita teamed up with a man nearby, and Daryl paired with a man in front. Daryl reluctantly complied. Rosita and her partner engaged in polite banter, preparing for the competition with laughter. The man wanted to shake hands with Daryl, but Daryl handed him the dagger instead. Michael raised his right hand, signaling them to get ready. The whistle sounded, and the four immediately charged into the house. Rosita led the way with her partner following her as she had a lot of combat experience. Just as they entered the house, a tall zombie lunged at them. Rosita, in haste, was pushed against the wall but quickly regained her footing with a strong push, stabilizing herself. Once assured that there were no more zombies in the house, she handed the knife to her partner, and they continued to the next room. The man was inexperienced in combat, and just as he entered the room, the zombie pounced on him and he couldn't move. Rosita held the zombie firmly, and the man picked up the dropped knife, thrusting it into the zombie's head. After a quick adjustment, they proceeded. Their coordination improved significantly. In the last room, zombies marked with red crosses appeared. Rosita was about to assist when another zombie came from behind. Tall and formidable, though unarmed, her experience came into play. Rosita broke the zombie's leg and used the bone as a weapon, ending the fight in a bloody spectacle. Meanwhile, her partner successfully killed their target. It can be said that this team, in terms of coordination and speed, was flawless. Turning to Daryl's side, after rushing into the house, they find two zombies feasting on flesh. Daryl instructs his partner to keep moving and not waste time here. However, the man insists on helping, offering his dagger. Daryl refuses, unimpressed by the man's combat skills and confident that a couple of zombies pose no threat to him. Instead, he picks up a stone from the floor. In the next room, the man encounters zombies, but due to his limited experience, the knife only lodges in the zombie's shoulder. At this moment, a zombie marked with a red cross appears. Rather than assisting his teammate, Daryl heads towards the final target. The man, struggling, is eventually pushed against the wall by zombies. In the nick of time, Michael shoots and saves him. However, Daryl's face reveals no satisfaction as he kills the final target. Michael points out that the training was to test team cooperation in combat, but Daryl was focused solely on completing the mission. In contrast, Rosita's team performed exceptionally well. Michael then asked Daryl to come with him alone. After a while, Michael took Daryl to a wooded area with Sebastian. Rosita was a little uneasy and followed him. Michael simply asked and did not object. Instead, Sebastian sees Rosita's beauty and can't help but tease that the more volunteers like this, the better. It turns out that one of Sebastian's entertainment activities is coming out to kill zombies, always ordering Michael to follow him like a servant. Daryl and Rosita place down their bags, discovering that they contain the weapons submitted by Alexandria's safe zone. Rosita saw her long knife and Daryl touched his old mate. This reveals the decay of the Commonwealth system, where Pamela's son can surpass the commander responsible for community safety. Sebastian picked up these weapons and swung them one by one, and the ones that didn't feel right to him he just dropped them on the floor. Daryl tries to teach him the proper handling and technique, only to be met with mockery. They are more or less uncomfortable in their hearts. These weapons have been their companions through countless hardships, symbolizing their honor. Now, they are casually discarded. Sebastian eventually settles on a warhammer, finding it more to his liking. Meanwhile, Michael's team releases zombies from containers. With Daryl guiding only 2 zombies forward each time, Sebastian effortlessly dispatches the first zombie with a hammer and casually discards the weapon. Eager to try others, he picks up the short knife previously used by Daryl, preparing for the approaching zombies. As Sebastian thrusts the knife into the zombie's neck, it gets stuck, creating a momentary deadlock. Pamela happens to pass by and stops to watch her son. Seeing the unfavorable situation, Daryl picks up his crossbow. Instead of expressing gratitude, Sebastian glares angrily at Daryl, about to make a comment. Sebastian notices his mother watching and restrains himself. He can clearly see his mother's disappointed expression. This entire situation, caused by this jerk, tarnishes his performance in front of his mother. From that moment, Sebastian harbors resentment towards Daryl. After a brief contemplation, Sebastian decides to go towards his mother, intending to explain himself. Once he leaves, Daryl picks up the weapons from the ground. Michael, standing nearby, comments, "You shouldn't have intervened just now. He would have been fine. I know you're used to handling things on your own, not wanting to rely on anyone. I understand, but that's not how things work here. Sometimes, we have to help each other to succeed." Michael went on to say how it's different here than it was before the apocalypse. He emphasizes the need to understand social dynamics, as it could provide a good life for Daryl's family. Sometimes we have no choice but to let go of our way of doing things. As a commander, Michael should command great respect, yet he is subjected to Sebastian's orders. Bringing Daryl here, Michael aims to use himself as an example, advising Daryl to tone down his aggression. After a while, Daryl returns to their living quarters with food. The accommodations are not ideal, with noise from the street outside and upstairs. Judith happily shared with Daryl that she had made a friend today and given her a record. She then asks Daryl if she could have pocket money to buy a gift for her friend. Daryl is momentarily speechless. Realizing he has no money, he reassures Judith that once his job becomes permanent, they can move to an apartment, and he will have a salary. He didn't realize that 15 years after the apocalypse he'd be struggling to make ends meet again. He then asks Judith and RJ about their feelings regarding the place, as he contemplates leaving due to its lack of freedom. To his surprise, both kids express contentment and a desire to stay. Inwardly sighing, Daryl seems to understand Michael's advice sometimes. For the sake of family, one must relinquish their accustomed ways.